Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranis. Our November 4th municipal election is coming up, and voters will be selecting judges, school directors, township officials, borough officials, city officials, and these officials affect a lot of things in our lives. Most importantly, they decide how our tax dollars are spent. That's important to all of us. So if you are eligible to vote and you are not registered, please register by the deadline of October 20th. You can do that at the Berks County Services Center, which is on Court Street in downtown Reading, or you can do it online. Online, please make sure you are using the official site for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Search for PA.gov, that's PA and then that little period, and then gov, and then go to the search bar and put in voting, and that will take you to the website. You can check your voting status, you can register to vote, you can change your party, you can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or a mail-in ballot. And the deadline to apply for that mail-in ballot is October 28th. Now, let me just note that that doesn't give you a lot of time to receive it and get it back, so I would do it earlier. Everyone who cares how their money is spent needs to participate. And it helps if you've met the candidates. And that's why the League is interviewing candidates, those who wanted to be interviewed, and only in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and will have the same amount of time to answer them. So let's begin.
Hello, I'm Nan Dunford, a member of the League of Women Voters. Two candidates are competing to be judge of the Court of Common Pleas. They are Democrat Eric J. Taylor and Republican Catherine Lynn Lehman. Voters across the county will vote for one. The Court of Common Pleas hears trials of major criminal and civil matters. It hears matters involving children and family. It hears appeals from minor courts. The term of the office is 10 years, and the current salary is $227,411. Please note that the opinions expressed in this interview are those of the candidate and are not the opinions of the League of Women Voters or Berks Community Television. This interview is with Eric Taylor. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell our viewers why you are seeking this important office.
So, I'm Eric Taylor, and I am a judge now. I'm a district judge over in West Reading, Wyomissing, and frankly, I really enjoy it. I like doing what I do. I think it's important to have people on the bench that have integrity and follow the law. That's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. I can remember one individual coming to me since the campaign started, and I did not remember him. He expressed how much that I had helped change his life. He had a drug or alcohol issue. And he expressed to me that I took the time and talked to him, and that affected him, and he's to this day sober and now supporting me in this campaign. So I really enjoy what we can do as judges. I enjoy doing what I'm doing now, and I would like to do it at the Common Pleas level to go to the next level up.
Okay, thank you. What education and life experience would you bring to the position?
So I was a United States Peace Corps United States Peace Corps volunteer. I was a teacher over in Asia, and then I went back over to Asia to teach again ESL. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed public service. After I came back, I went to law school. While I was in law school, I had several different internships, including interning for a federal magistrate judge. I graduated from law school with honors, and then I clerked for a judge. So I have experience working for a judge and interning for a judge, and then I was a public defender for about 12 years. Before I became a district judge, I had about 13 years in the law, and now being a district judge, I have about 20 years as a lawyer. For the last 7 years as a district judge, I've made rulings on various cases, trials, hearings, criminal cases, civil cases, and family law cases in the way of emergency protection from abuse orders. So I've done a lot of things as a judge, what I'd be doing at Court of Common Pleas level, and I've written judicial decisions that have been published in the Berks County Law Journal. So those are all the experiences that I bring to the bench.
Well, thank you. What personal qualities do you have that would help you be an effective judge?
Well, again, as a judge now, I think I am an effective judge, but I would bring the same qualities that I do at my job now. I think I'm a good listener. I make sure that both sides have the opportunity to present their case. I'm empathetic. I really try to see things through the people's eyes who are presenting their cases to me, so I can be in their shoes. But in the end, I follow the law. That's what I've been doing for the last 7 years, following the law. That's what a judge has to do.
Thank you.
Sure.
How would you explain to citizens who are called for jury duty the critical importance of them serving as jurors?
So this is an integral part of our judicial system, is having jury duty. Jurors have to serve because otherwise we can't have jury trials without them. And it's important to get a good cross-section of the public, of the citizenry in order to have a good jury panel. There was just something that the Berks County Bar presented for a panel about the importance of getting a wider selection of the public. A lot of minorities are not represented in juries, and this is a shame because there's a good number of defendants who are minorities who then look at their jury panel of maybe all white people and think they're not going to be heard, and there's nobody in there that's like them. So it's really important for people to participate in jury duty if at all possible.
Thank you. After listening to conflicting evidence, a judge has to make a decision about what happened. What factors will you consider in making a decision?
So again, the factors I have been using for the last 7 years are you have to decide who to believe and who not to believe when it comes down to credibility, as it often does. Body language is important, how people are looking or making eye contact. However, you do have to keep in mind that there are a lot of cultural differences and people that come from different countries who do not make eye contact because that's a little too aggressive. So you have to bear that in mind as well. And then you do what a lot of people do every day. You decide what to believe and not to believe as far as, does this make sense what the person testified to? So there's a lot of different factors, but I've had, again, 7+ years now of doing this because I've sat as a district judge and decided credibility hundreds of times.
In sentencing convicted criminals, what factors should be considered and what's an alternative to jail? And when's it appropriate?
So you have to look at the sentencing guidelines. There's a lot of sentencing guidelines that'll tell you what range of sentences that you can decide. You can also mitigate a sentence and you can aggravate a sentence. I think it's very important, of course, to hear from the victim, if any, and is public safety at risk if the person is in or out of jail? What's the defendant's prior record? So also restitution. A lot of times there's financial crimes. If there's no risk to the public and there's a restitution issue, if you put the person in jail, there's going to be a lot of difficulty in getting restitution from that person. So you have to weigh a lot of those factors. I think for me, jail is not something, it's not the first thing I want to consider. I want to look at other alternatives. However, if it's warranted, if there's mandatory sentences, as sometimes there are, then that's what you have to do as a judge. You have to follow the law.
Yes. People expect legislators and governors to be political. The role of the court is to read and interpret the law without political bias, but that's not how people see the courts. Let's take a few minutes for civic education. So here's a question. Pennsylvania has a unified court system. A code of ethics applies to all judges. Please share with our viewers what is in the code and what you as a candidate and as a judge can and cannot do.
So I've been living with the judicial code for the last, again, 7 years as a district judge, so I've had to follow it since then. We cannot be politically active outside of when we're on the ballot. If we're on the ballot, then we can be more politically active, but we are still very limited. When we are not on the ballot, we cannot donate to candidates. We cannot even go to political forums. We are very limited on what we can do because we don't want our judges to be politically active. Even when we're on the ballot, we can go to fundraisers, we can donate to candidates, but we cannot endorse non-judicial candidates that are not on the ballot with us. It is a lot to follow. It really limits you in many, many ways. As simple as you can't go to a fundraiser and be the one collecting money. You can't ask other people for money for the Boy Scouts, for a football team, anything like that. You're limited on what you can do. I do like being a judge. I enjoy being a judge, but it definitely puts some limits on what you can do.
Some people want law and order judges, and some people want judges who focus on justice. How do you view these two ideas, and how that impacts your decisions if you're elected?
So, judges have to follow the law in the end. You have to follow the law. That is your job. You have to stay in your lane. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what I intend to keep doing. If there's mandatory sentences again, then you have to sentence people to a mandatory time in jail. If there's discretion with what you can do, then you can follow your discretion. I want to be known as a judge that was fair and dispensed justice and followed the law. So that's what I plan on doing.
Under what circumstances would you recuse yourself from a case?
So I have recused myself as a sitting judge from many cases. If I know the person pretty well and have a good relationship, I can't stay in that case. I've done that. I did that a year or 2 years ago. There was somebody that I was a coach with. I coach wrestling, and he was a wrestling coach. And he was involved in a case, and I got myself out of it. I wrote something to the president judge, asked her if I could recuse myself, and she did. Because you have to be fair. Everybody wants a judge that's fair and follows the law and isn't really close to one party or the other. If my wife, she didn't, but if my wife did get a speeding ticket in my area, I can't handle that. That's not proper. And people saw that I was handling it, they wouldn't think that was proper. So there's been several cases that I had to recuse myself from, and that's what I've done.
I think the next question is really important in the current environment, which is what can you do as a judge in the county, on and off the bench, to build trust in the courts?
So I've probably said this 3 times now. I think the most important thing on the bench is to follow the law. You have to follow the law. I think citizens will not trust the judge if they think they're being partisan. You have to, even though these are partisan elections in some ways, you have to be nonpartisan. You have to take off your party hat, and you have to follow the law. That's what I've done. I think if you look in all the decisions I've written, including the ones that were published in the Berks County Law Journal, you will see that I followed the law. I haven't made any political decisions. So that's one thing. You have to hear both sides. If you hear one side and the other side doesn't feel they've been heard while you're on the bench, I think you're going to be looked at as not being fair, which is unfortunate. And possibly some judges do that. That's not me. I don't do that. I listen to both sides. Off the bench, I think you want to maybe speak and present in groups, in neutral forums, not political forums. But I've gone to the Why Missing Library, and I've given presentations about landlord-tenant cases and what they're about. And I think that's good to be in the public eye, so people can see you and be able to ask you about things and what judges do. And I think that is very important to develop trust so that the people do trust their judges.
The president judge assigns new judges to the area of the court that needs a judge. Please tell us about the different areas of the court and which one you'd prefer to serve in if you had the choice, and tell us why that would be your preference.
So the 3 areas are family court, civil court, and criminal court. Those are the 3 areas in at least Berks County's bench. I have experience in all 3. I've been hearing civil cases, criminal cases, and to a lesser extent, family law cases. As a lawyer, I've done trials in criminal cases. So I'm comfortable going into any of those. I enjoy criminal law. I was a public defender for 12 years, and I did various cases, did appeals. So I'd be very comfortable going into the criminal side. That would be probably my preference, and if not, the family law bench. But I'd be fine going into the civil bench if I were elected.
Thank you. Could you please give us your views on plea bargaining?
So plea bargaining is very important in our judicial system. I think something like 90 to 95% of cases get pled out to some degree or another, even in front of me. A lot of tickets, they're traffic tickets, and they might have been cited with going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, and that causes points. We get 3 points, I believe, if you do get found guilty of going 15 over. So a lot of people plead not guilty. We set up a schedule. We schedule a hearing. They come in. The officer and the defendant talk. They work it out where the officer agrees to lower the speed to 5 over the speed instead of 15 over. And if you're charged with 5 over or less over the speed limit, you're not going to get points. And it ends up pleading out. So they pay a fine. It's compromised. The officer gets something. The defendant gets found guilty of something, but the defendant doesn't get any points. And usually everybody's happy. If everybody took trials in every case, civil, criminal, family, our system would bog down. So it's a very important part of today's judiciary and the courtroom process. But with that being said, nobody should feel that they have to plead out. That's what judges are for, in part, to decide cases. And if somebody does not want to plead out for whatever reason, or if they didn't do it, then they're absolutely entitled to a trial.
Other than family and friends, how are you funding your campaign? Have you received any large donations?
I've received some donations of, I believe, $1,000. I think that's been the limit from some very generous people. Thank you for that. Some of them have been lawyers who have seen me on the bench or know that I would be a good court of common pleas judge. So that's great that they expressed their faith in me through financial contributions. I think by and large, most of my funding is self-funded. I did one fundraiser in the spring. I'm not sure if I'll do another one now. As judges, again, we are limited. So any other candidates, legislative candidates, executive candidates, they can ask for money from people. Judges are not allowed to. We are not permitted to ask for money. Our campaign staff can ask for money for our campaign, but we cannot directly ask people for money. But even that, I have a hard time having my campaign ask people for money for something that, a race that I want to go into. Plus, unlike, again, executive and legislative branches, we can't be partial. We can't say, okay, if, you gave me $1,000 in my campaign, so I'm going to rule in your favor, Mr. Lawyer, if you were in front of me. That can't be done, either explicitly or implicitly. So most of my campaign is self-funded.
Thank you. Are you involved in volunteer or community work? And if so, please tell us about it.
So since I've had a family, I'm not as involved in volunteer work. I was involved in the St. Vincent de Paul Society. It's in our part of our Catholic Church in Sacred Heart in West Reading. I would go in the soup kitchens, that kind of stuff. I haven't done that as much. I was involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I had a little brother, although he was a foot taller than I was, who we won the Big Brother Match of the Year award one year. That was a great organization. I really enjoyed being part of it. Again, making a difference in people's lives, which is what I've done, I think I've done as a judge. Doing that on a much smaller level with somebody that lost a parent or 2 parents. But I ended up resigning from the board. I was also a board member of that. Ended up leaving the board. A lot of family obligations. I want to make sure I'm home with my family. Most of my volunteer work these days is mostly coaching wrestling for my son or maybe speaking in public. That's about it now.
Okay. Please make a closing statement.
So, my campaign slogan is vote for a judge to be a judge. I am the only candidate with judicial experience. So I've been, again, a district judge for about 7 years, deciding cases, having hearings, running a courtroom, writing judicial opinions. Before I was a judge, I was a judicial law clerk for a year. So I have experience writing judicial opinions, not only as a judge now, but when I was a judicial law clerk. I'm endorsed by 4 retired Berks County judges. I'm the only candidate that can say that. That includes Judge Scott Keller, who retired from the bench a couple years ago. In the 1980s, he was the head of the Berks County Republican Party. So this is a nonpartisan race. I have over 30 officials across Berks County who have endorsed me, Democrats and Republicans. This shouldn't be a political race. Oftentimes it is, but you can trust me, no matter what your political stripe is, to be fair and impartial and not bring any partisan hats into the courtroom. Politics don't play a part in my decisions and don't play a part in my courtroom. So vote for a judge to be a judge. My website is Tailor-Made for Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric J. Taylor, for sharing your views with us. Voters, please remember that there's one other candidate for Judge of the Court of Common Pleas, Catherine Lynn Lehman. You may vote for one. You will find candidates up front, interviews on BCTV and its website and YouTube page. For more information on more candidates, go to the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. For more information on election procedures, contact Berks County Election Services at elections@BerksPA.gov, telephone number 610-478-6490. And thank you for watching Candidates Up Front.